Forbes says that 80% of businesses will fail within 18 months. USA Today says that only 1 out of 5 businesses that will start today will make it past the 5-year mark. And other studies show that 3 out of 10 businesses will not even make it past the first 24 months. And if you don't want to wind up as one of these statistics, keep on watching. I'm Gulraj Shahpuri. I'm a business coach and a leadership trainer, and I've trained more than 50,000 people in how to manage themselves and their businesses better. Today we're going to talk about a massive predictor of long-term business success. But mind you, it's not all that sexy, so it's not often talked about. Do you want to know what it is? It's your level of conscientiousness. Now, Google defines conscientiousness as one's desire to do their work well and thoroughly. So let's put 2 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to give you a couple of handfuls of techniques on how you can master this trait for your business success. Number 1, let's understand what this conscientiousness is. It's a left brain trait, meaning that it's about structures and numbers and science and about logic, as opposed to right brain traits, which are about creativity and artsiness. Number 2, it's a learned skill. You're not born with it. You can't go to a hospital where they're delivering babies and the doctor says, oh, this one's conscientious, let's put him here and not this guy. No, it never works that way. This is a skill that's developed in the prefrontal cortex, in the executive center of the brain. Now, that's a system of the brain that can best be developed between the ages of 7 and 12. And when you're developing that in a child, that child is going to be a lot more conscientious when they grow up as an adult. But not all is lost if it's not developed at that age, because if you look at the army, they do a tremendous job in making these young adults to be conscientious people. And here's the thing, if you find a person that's tremendously conscientious in their older age, it doesn't mean that as a teenager or as a child they were conscientious at all. You can't even spot these things in kids. That means it's a learned skill and you can still develop it. Remember when I said there's nothing really sexy about conscientiousness? Well, it gets even worse because there's nothing even fun about it until you become quite conscientious and you become quite good at it. And I'll tell you why. When you start crossing things off your to-do list because you're such a conscientious person, you get that dopamine kick, and you also get that dopamine kick, that happy hormone kick every time you close a big business deal or every time you see your bank account balance going up and up and up. Now, one of the quickest ways you can become conscientious is if you make a to-do list every day. Actually, I mean every night you make it for the next day, and when you wake up in the morning, you make it again, and you look at it and you start things on it. You'll start doing more before 8 a.m. than most others do all day. You'll become extremely conscientious. You'll always be on top of your game, and you're going to see tremendous business success. And one of the traits about conscientious people is they have this sort of allergy towards chaos. They're even allergic to people who create chaos. Now, they become this over time. And what's the opposite of chaos? Becoming clutter-free, becoming organized. One of the traits about conscientious people is they declutter everything they have, their inboxes, their mail, their to-do list, everything they see, their closets, everything at work. Twice or 3 times a year, they take a day off and they just declutter. And you know what happens? They are able to create a lot of brain space to actually earn more money by doing more and by achieving more. This is one of the traits, and you'll become this over time, so start decluttering. Now, being conscientious goes hand in hand with being disciplined. You'll have to have a certain discipline about things because you won't always have time to be conscientious. And when you don't have time, you still have to be conscientious. Many days you'll be hopeless. Many days you just will have run out of time and you'll still want to do things. You know what? Discipline will carry you through. And how do you become a disciplined person? Well, disciplines lead to other disciplines. So when you can start having small disciplines, you'll start having big disciplines, and then you can become an extremely organized, conscientious person. Next, you're going to see a trade-off between conscientiousness and creativity. Your creativity will actually start coming down while your conscientiousness goes up. Let it happen. Don't worry about it. You're going to gain this innate ability to look at other people's stuff, copy it, and improve on it by orders of magnitude. One of the most conscientious people of all time was Steve Jobs. And you know what? He didn't create anything. He didn't create the iPad. Other people created a tablet. He just improved on it. He didn't create a watch. Other people had watches. He improved on digital watches. He didn't create the phone. He didn't create the computer. He didn't create anything. He just made it a whole lot better because he was so conscientious. Next is you have to have goals. Conscientious people, they have lots of goals. You have to look at your goals every morning, and the actionables of the goals will make your to-do lists shine, and you're going to do a whole lot more than anybody else you know. Industriousness is the last thing I'm going to talk about conscientiousness, and it's certainly not the least. You see, we've talked a lot about orderliness, but industriousness is your ability to get a lot of work done, and that's actually going to come, like I just said, from your to-do list, from that desire and want to do more than anybody else, and you'll have to, because that's how you get ahead in business. That's it, time's up. So how will you know that you've become that conscientious person, that anything you touch will turn into gold? Well, let me give you some clues. When you start getting repulsed by chaos and the type of people that like to live in chaos, you become conscientious. When you're making to-do lists before you go to sleep and then remaking them before you start your day, you become conscientious. When you're saying no to friends more often than you're saying yes to them when they ask you for social commitments, you become conscientious. And when you're spending your entire day on sales and marketing and branding instead of managing your work, because your work is being managed by systems and automated processes that you created, you've become conscientious. Don't worry, you'll get there. And lastly, the discipline of getting things done is more important than doing them right. You see, anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly when you begin. Just do it, you'll eventually get to the right quality. At the beginning, you just have to get things done. In the comments below, please let me know which of these techniques you like the most. And if there's a technique that you have that I couldn't cover in these 2 minutes, please make sure you tell the world what makes you more conscientious. Also, if you think that this is too hard for you to do, you might need an accountability partner, a coach or a friend who can just be that caring outsider who can look over your shoulder and keep asking you, hey, make sure you do this and make sure you commit to what you've been doing, and make sure whatever you're doing, you write it down so you become more conscientious. And you know what? When you have a conscientious person helping you out, together you're going to grow. If you liked any of the things we talked about, make sure you click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, take a second and press the subscribe button. You're going to be glad you did it, because we'd love to have you part of our family. And it also goes a long way in telling YouTube's algorithm that other people are going to enjoy this content as well. Speaking of content, if this is the first video you've seen in our 2-Minute Tuesday series, just click over here and you'll see the rest of them. And if you want to see what YouTube has to recommend to you, just click over here. Either way, you can't go wrong. I'm Gulraj Shahpuri, and it's such a pleasure to have you part of our family. You've been awesome, and I love the awesome support you continue to give me.